Welcome to Tech Tuesdays here on Northwest Digital News. I'm Kevin Hunter with Kyle Torgeson, and coming to us via live stream out of the Seattle area, Harry Brelsford. Welcome, Harry.
Hey, good afternoon.
Good afternoon indeed. So we have 5 great technology platforms we're going to share with people today, and they're various social media and or communication platforms that business people could be using in their place of business. We actually had, Kyle and I were having some offline conversation about each of these various pieces and some of the nuances of each. So we have some information on our end as well. Harry, let's get started talking about MailChimp.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, let me put a wrapper around what I like to call the 5 cool tools that we're going to talk about today.
Perfect.
And I view it as these are no cost or low cost familiar tools. I like to say it's open architecture. And that's important because there's tools out there, Kevin, that are closed architecture that you can never get off of. So these are widely available tools. People know how to use them. And I'm coming at it from the point of view of small business or business analytics. And so, you know, everybody knows what email is. But did you know, in fact, let's start with MailChimp, as you should suggest, right? Let's dive right in.
Yes.
But did you know with MailChimp, I mean, of course, it's an email package. Of course, most people know about it. Many people use it. However, what's really cool about MailChimp is the fact that they have some basic reporting, and they have things like what we call an A/B headline. And so what that means is when you send out a promotional email to your customer list and prospect list, you can have 2 headlines. I like to say you can have for lack of a better word, a conservative business headline. That's appropriate.
Right.
And then maybe you can have a silly headline. And MailChimp is going to tell us which one worked better, right? And you're starting to learn your audience. And so everything you want to send out is what we call A/B, right? And you want to make them distinctly different. Does that make sense? That over time, you learn your audience.
Exactly. So anything you're doing, and this is also relevant to anything that anybody's doing in the way of marketing, is that always test it. And always have a way of knowing what's working and what's not. And so I love that aspect, and having the availability of analytics. As you know, Harry, I'm a longtime video blogger online, and I pay attention to my analytics every single day and make appropriate adjustments, but it's because I'm getting real-time information every day. And so that's what's allowed me to really position my content to the extent that I have worldwide, is by paying attention to the analytics, throwing things out there, testing various forms of content, testing length of content. So your point on with, title them differently and make them very distinctly different, using something like MailChimp, totally spot on. That's exactly what somebody should be doing.
Yeah, and each of these 5 cool tools could be a show, right? I mean, we can go deeper and deeper and deeper into MailChimp. That's not really why we're here today. I just wanted to give 1 or 2 examples from each of the cool tools, but A/B headlines in MailChimp, and then very basic reporting that you would expect, like open rate and the click-throughs and that kind of thing. Those are reports you expect. You get those. Kevin and Kyle, what's always amazing is how few people actually go and read those reports. That's our biggest challenge with analytics. It's all here. It's hard work. You got to open the report and read it.
It's like a profit and loss statement, as compared to your business. It's like a profit and loss statement, so to speak, for your marketing efforts or your communication efforts. If you're not looking at it, you really don't have any clue what's working and what's not.
Yeah, cool.
I want to just for the benefit of our viewing audience, I want to cover this really quickly. Harry mentioned that these are free communication tools that you can be using, or tech tools you can be using, and MailChimp. There is a program they have called Forever Free. It is free, $0 a month. You can have up to 2,000 subscribers on that free subscription, and limited to 12,000 emails a month. For many small businesses, that's more than adequate.
Oh yeah, yeah, and it's a little bit like I can't even think of an analogy, but there's a time and a place to pay, right? When you become successful and you're cash flow positive and you have a big list, you'll happily pay, but it's really nice to start out at no cost or low cost with these tools.
Exactly. Well, let's visit about SurveyMonkey. It is another one of the cool tools available to business people.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's the deal on SurveyMonkey is that in the business community, we go through different waves of popularity. So a few years ago, and again, I'm coming at it from sort of the Microsoft community and my interactions with Microsoft. So 10 years ago, everything was about customer satisfaction scores, or CSAT, customer satisfaction. And the blue badges out of Microsoft Redmond were evaluated by it, and that's how they got their stock options and pay increases. So everything was about that. Now, again, it goes in waves, and now that's not as much of a criteria for their employment evaluation. But you know, surveying your customers, surveying your marketplace, it never should go out of style, right?
Exactly.
And, you know, as I've said in the past, SMB Nation, we're a community of SMB technology consultants, originally predicated upon Microsoft servers back in the day, now cloud. And Kevin and Kyle, the other day, I had occasion to go into SurveyMonkey, and you know, we're a 19-year-old community / publisher / media integration company, whatever you want to call us, and we have over 900 surveys in SurveyMonkey. And here's where it gets fun, is that not only are we committed over the years to surveying, and full disclosure, a lot of the surveys were speakers at our events. That tends to boost the numbers,
Sure.
Speaker surveys. But what's really cool, and this is my key point, is just do some doggone basic surveying for the market you exist in. Doesn't need to be, just do it. Just start. You will learn how to make the questions more predictive and relevant. But where it really kicks in is when you have year-over-year analysis. So that's why I say just start now and kick out a survey. And then periodically kick out the same survey, maybe tweaking, you know, improving the grammar and the English on the questions, that kind of thing. But boy, that year-over-year analysis is gold, Kevin and Kyle. You can really track the behaviors in a marketplace. And everybody's, you know, every industry's in a period of transformation, right? We need to somehow measure that.
Exactly. Well, let me share with you something that I really like about SurveyMonkey. And Kyle and I were actually having a conversation about this last week, is that what I really like about this piece of software is that it helps make the surveys you do much more scientific, if that's the proper word to use. They're much more scientific, because when you put a question into SurveyMonkey, let's say you're surveying your client base or whoever, and you pose a question that says, "You don't like French fries, do you?" SurveyMonkey is going to go, "That's a leading question and looking for a obvious answer." Instead, you might say, if you're trying to compare French fries to something else, you should say, "Which would be your preference? Tater tots, right, French fries, or mashed potatoes?" And then allow people to make selections from those. Or, you know, when it comes to potatoes, how do you prefer that they're cooked? You know, mashed, baked, French fries, you know, tater tots, whatever. But SurveyMonkey will help make your survey much more scientific and get rid of those kinds of bad questions.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's an art. It's a science. But the main thing, guys, is just get going. Right? Just do it.
That's correct. Just do it. Get started. All right. And again, for our audience, you can set up a SurveyMonkey site for free. They, of course, have paid plans as you grow and get bigger, but you can do that for free. Let's talk about GoToWebinar. I've actually been using online video sources, and which we're doing a video broadcast here today, same type of thing. GoToWebinar has been around for a while. This is the #1 platform in video conferencing right now on the web. And this has been an invaluable tool to me on a number of different levels.
Yeah. Yeah, it's what we use at SMB Nation, you know, and here again, guys, and for the audience, these video conferencing packages, they come, they go, some are hot, some are not. Some are expensive.
Yes.
GoToWebinar is in a sweet spot. It's here yesterday, today, and tomorrow. I think the price is reasonable for what we do at SMB Nation. We're pretty active as a community and a publisher. But what I really want to share is a couple of things. So we did some work with our community this year, and we thought about having people go through a marketing motion, and at the end of 90 days, they were going to have a lunch and learn. So a physical, good old-fashioned lunch and learn at a small conference center. And what we found is they said no. We would actually rather use the 90 days to build an audience to tell our story on a webinar, right? We'd rather go digital than physical. And believe it or not, it wasn't about cost, because I'm like, guys, what, a lunch and learn, and let's say Vancouver, Washington, just south of you, maybe 30 of your customers, you're probably out of there for a couple $100 in pizzas. It's really not that much. It wasn't about the money. It was more about the convenience and everything we know to be true. But here's what it's also about. And this is the analytics, is when you run a GoToWebinar session and it completes, when you go back to your control panel, there's an analytics selection way down here, and very few people choose it. And you need to choose it because what it's doing is it's using a very basic algorithm, okay? And you got to remember with data science, I think I've said it on your show before, we're at the 5.25-inch floppy disk stage, right? We're at the very beginning of the era, and in 20 years, we're going to know everything. Okay, we're going to know how it all turned out in 20 years, but today we don't. And so GoToWebinar has a very simple algorithm with 6 coefficients. And for example, one of them is polling questions during the webinar, right? So you want to ask 2 or 3 questions during the webinar that are hopefully predictive, and it helps you score or stack and rank the participants. And so, you could take any industry, maybe we take sporting goods. And if you could just get a sense of, are the people interested in, outdoor sports like hunting, or maybe more indoor sports, if there's such a thing. But if you could have questions that are predictive, it allows you to target. A couple of the other measurements are, so first of all, did you even attend the webinar? Unfortunately, a lot of people sign up for webinars and they don't attend. So we need to know that. Did you attend? And then finally, they have something about the focus on the screen. So they're magically recording if the GoToWebinar session has the focus on screen number 1, or are you over here on screen number 2 reading email? Where is the focus? And we score that. It's really cool.
Very much so. Another really cool tool that GoToWebinar does have is for people who want to use these webinars that they do, either to later upload them to YouTube or any other platforms out there. You can record all of these through GoToWebinar as well. So there's some nice features there. I just wanted to point out, for the benefit of our audience, you can sign up for a free 7-day trial to give it a test drive for free. And then a starter package, which is $89 a month. There's 100 participants in that. And then, of course, they go up from there to whatever size participant type audience that you'd have. So a lot of different options available there with GoToWebinar. Anything else on that one, Harry, before we move to HootSuite?
No, and you're right. At the end of the day, you do pay for GoToWebinar, but again, the business person inside of me, I understand there's a time and a place to pay for services, right?
Yep.
And I would offer GoToWebinar as one of those, but make sure you're using it to the full extent you can. I like to think of it as a sales and marketing tool. Good Lord, it has 100 uses, but that's probably it on GoToWebinar.
All right, so let's talk about HootSuite, one way of keeping track of all your social media from one place.
Yep. So what I like about HootSuite is they have what I call, it's an overused term, the single pane of glass concept. So it's sort of a dashboard where properly configured, I can kind of do everything from one location. right? And so if you think about it, you're trying to schedule periodic communications. We do it at SMB Nation. And in fact, I've been doing it with Tech Tuesday to help get the word out to my community. Everything helps everything.
Exactly.
And I can drop a quip, a note, a comment into LinkedIn. I can drop it to the Facebook company pages. Now, the API, unfortunately, recently disabled being able to interact with your personal page in Facebook. I'm frustrated by that. But you could certainly drop it to your company page. You can drop it into Twitter itself, and a couple of different other avenues. I know, they have APIs and connectivity out to other things, and in fact, even SurveyMonkey, believe it or not. I'm not well versed in that, right? I know it exists. I haven't done it. I've only kind of done it for maybe the major 3 or 4 networks, social networks. But what HootSuite does, on that last point on Twitter, so not only is it a dashboard and a single pane of glass, and that's very efficient. You can put all your tweets and communication on a timer, load them up on Saturday and let them come out over the week. But the tweets themselves are an interesting concept because, Twitter is, I don't have time to sit around and look at Twitter feeds all day, and it tends to be magnified for Hollywood stars, sports stars, and politicians.
Sure.
Right. That's where it gets its magnification, and I'm none of the three. But what it does do is make your content highly searchable. Okay, it's a very good tool to show up in Google search results on page 1. And you can do that. Take your favorite sports star that you know is active on Twitter, Google them, and you'll probably see something about the NFL preseasons, a comment they made. So it contributes to the search engine optimization, or SEO. And that's the hidden secret. That's why we're talking about HootSuite. In addition to being a management tool, the dirty little secret is it's wonderful for search.
Yes. And Kyle, you actually did a little research on HootSuite, and we're not currently using it here yet on Northwest Digital News, but we use other platforms that have some similarities and benefits. But talk about what you learned about HootSuite, Kyle.
Now, HootSuite, we use a service kind of like that, but instead it's for live streaming. We use a thing called Restream, and we stream from our software to Restream, and there Restream is able to go to Facebook, Patreon, YouTube, and Twitter all at the same time. It's so handy, and you can even see the analytics as well. They're working on it right now, and they're making it better, and you can see the growth every single day. So check out Restream. It's cool, and it's also free. But HootSuite is kind of like that. It's really nice. You can check out your Facebook. If you post YouTube videos, you can check out YouTube. You can check out Twitter, like you were saying, Instagram, everything that you need for social media, all in the same thing. And I know for Restream is amazing. It's so beautiful. I'm not that stressed. I don't have to worry about, okay, did I hook everything right? So with HootSuite, everything all together at the same page, that's just beautiful. That is so easy and able to manage.
And for us, kind of an important thing, because we have comments coming to us through Twitch TV, through Patreon, through the various Facebook connections that we have as well. And so there's multiple platforms commenting all at the same time. Great to be able to monitor that from one site.
Yeah. It just, again, think of it this way. You've heard me mention the infamous Jenny at SMB Nation, been with me 11 years. Really runs the company when you get right down to it, thank God. And but she'll sit there, very detail oriented, and so just think about this: we're a publisher, and we have to have a stream of content, right? And she'll sit there typically at the beginning of the week and load up HootSuite for the week. And that scheduling, Kyle, that's the other thing, right? And maybe these other tools do that too, but that scheduling, you can create 6 hours between the streaming of content, the tweets, and so on, because you certainly don't want to just do it all at once on Monday morning, right? I mean, that's a little overwhelming, but it really has made us efficient. I mean, I can't say enough about it. And I believe it's my understanding they're based out of Vancouver, BC, just up the road from Seattle. So, gentlemen, maybe we need to do a field trip.
It sounds like it. It sounds like it.
In fact, we could take the train, right? You could get on the train and meet me, and I'll get on the train, and we'll get off in Vancouver. We don't even have to drive.
There you go. I like the sounds of that a lot. Well, our last cool tool on Tech Tuesday is LinkedIn. And Harry, this is kind of interesting because I've been a long-time member on LinkedIn. What it's been mostly great for me is all the professional connections that it's built for me. Just a quick stat for folks that are out there. LinkedIn has been around since 2002. Right now has 500 million members in 200 countries around the world, of which about 106 million are regular active users on LinkedIn. Your thoughts on LinkedIn, Harry?
Yeah, well, it's kind of on the one hand, it would be kind of like talking about water and getting excited about water. Do we need water? Yes. Is water good? Yes. And LinkedIn is water. To your point, it has an enormous worldwide audience. So we already know that. But there's a couple things that a lot of people don't know about LinkedIn. So one of them is, and I would encourage you to do this for yourself if you're brave enough, pop it up on screen on your side. But go to LinkedIn.com. Make sure you're going to log on as yourself. LinkedIn.com/sales /SSI. That's Social Selling Index. And for those listeners, if you just want to make a note, LinkedIn SSI or LinkedIn Social Selling Index, Social Selling Index. So go do this for yourself. I actually did this before the show. Hang on a second. I'm off screen, but I will tell you what my results were. And okay, so I had a 74, which puts me in the top 1%. My friend Jay McBain had a 78, which puts him even higher. He's an analyst at Forrester Research. And then my friend Carl Pelacek, a fellow author, speaker, has a 76. And what they're doing, they're actually displaying their algorithm. They're taking 4 measurements. In fact, let me see if I can enlarge this. To calculate 74 out of 100, 4 measurements. Have you done things to establish your professional brand? Number 1, find the right people. Number 2, engage with insights. Number 3, and build relationships. Number 4. And again, this is analytics, right? What we're saying is they're taking a very basic tool, algorithm with 4 variables or coefficients. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Remember, we're still early in this whole era, but doggone it, at least they're trying, right? At least they have something. And where this becomes valuable is over time. You get a baseline figure in the 50s, 60s, 70s, what have you, and you can then start to improve, right? Like maybe you should respond to more articles or post up in LinkedIn. And everything, again, helps everything. We're, at the end of the day, we're all in sales, right? We're all in sales. And this is a tool that gives you a baseline, lets you build from it. And then what I think is cool is it's analogous to, probably all of us have had jobs where the boss said, hey, everybody, we're going to go to an offsite workshop and do a full day of Myers-Briggs testing and some of the other tests. And of course, the staff groans. They're like, oh, God, not again. Not again. Do we kind of do that again? This is a little bit akin to that because it really does allow a CEO or a manager to maybe think about what's the right seat on the bus for people inside your organization, right? This is a measurement. And you might find out Martha over in the mailroom is an exceptional salesperson. I mean, just there's some nuggets out there. Does that make sense? That's what I wanted to share.
Absolutely does. So I want you to go back to something. You did logged in on LinkedIn. You went to linkedin.com /sales /SSI. Yep. I am on LinkedIn under the members of media. I just checked my score. It says I rank in the top 14%. I have low scores in finding the right people and engage with insights. So those are the two areas that, so my total score here is 44 out of 100. So you are having a much higher score than I am on LinkedIn. But where
I've been at it a while. I've been using I've been using this index for a couple years. So
don't well, I didn't know it existed, and that's great. I learned something here today. So, but what it says that I do very well on LinkedIn, I actually have 24 out of 25 on building relationships.
I could see that.
Yep. Yeah. And a very high score on establishing your professional brand. So those two things, that's the reason why I have 44 points. The two that I have 0 out of 25 on engage with insights and 1 out of 25 on finding the right people. But the other two, establishing professional brand and building relationships, got 44 points in those two.
Oh yeah, I'd say that's a natural act for you. And on engage with insights, here's what I would tell you. And I mean, by the way, I mirror your results. It's a little bit like an upside down bell curve, right? That I'm high at the first measurement, and then I dip in the two that you mentioned, and then I'm high in the fourth.
Correct.
So we resemble each other in that sense. And engaging with insights, that's an opportunity for you to make comments up in LinkedIn groups. That's an opportunity for you to reply to posts that people put up some of your own posts as well. But more importantly would be that's measuring your level of engagement. Mm-hmm. And it just works. It's just old school. I've said it. I don't think a show has gone by where I haven't said, guys, it's just hard work. It's like you just got to do it, man.
Well, some of the very neat, cool people that I've met and some of the great interviews that I've had over the years have come out of contacts out of LinkedIn. So I can say in that regard, in terms of professional network for me, LinkedIn has beat out Facebook in that area for me very substantially.
Yeah. And you know what I'll do? I'm going to make a side note. Maybe in a future show, we could even dedicate it to LinkedIn, because what we don't have time for today, and it really deserves its own show, would be the premium access to LinkedIn. So Sales Navigator is the one I use. I'm not as interested in the HR functions. You know how LinkedIn was originally pitched? It's almost like a monster.com competitor.
Right.
It was pitched for job hunters. I kind of put that over here. I look at it more as almost like a CRM or sales tool over here. And Sales Navigator resembles that. And that would take a whole half hour, but that's almost what I would call advanced analytics. You know what I mean? We call it nearest next door neighbor, lookalikes, very basic rules-based scoring. When you create that criteria to find prospects within 25 miles, with the title of CEO, with the 10 years experience and a 4-year degree, that's rules-based scoring, right? That's what we do in analytics.
Without a doubt. Well, Harry, I absolutely love that you're an analytics guy and that you pay attention to that kind of stuff, because I can tell you that long before I was doing online things that I am now, and things in which analytics are just absolutely critical to everything I'm doing today. But long before then, what made me successful in business and in the corporations and stuff that I worked for in the past was I had a huge love for statistics. And I was a very analytical type person, followed data, followed information in organizations, and was always making either predictions based on trends in data that I was collecting long before these types of platforms were available. So I absolutely love that you're doing this, because this is a great lesson for people who are watching this show today and wondering, how do you have a clue that you're making the right decisions or moving things in the right direction? Well, the numbers, the data, the analytics, stay on top of what you're doing.
Yeah, everything's measured. And maybe if I guess I kind of start to, again, let me put a wrapper around today's discussion, or, re-wrap it. I wrapped it when we started, and I'll re-wrap it. but everything we talked about today is either low cost or no cost, right? LinkedIn is free at the level we talked about today. And that's really cool that you can just get going. And then once you see, think of it as a pilot program, right? Everybody loves to run a low cost pilot program just to see if it works. And guys, give it a shot. Go sign up for these 5 tools, give it a go. And then if it works, hopefully you're of the mindset that you're happy to invest forward, right? You're happy to invest forward into success. Just run a small pilot, see what you think.
Great information today, Harry. Appreciate you sharing your views on each of these. For our benefit of our video viewing audience, we covered MailChimp, SurveyMonkey, GoToWebinar, HootSuite, and LinkedIn today. All of these logos on the screen that you see here, we had conversations. So if you are just joining us now, you can hear the recorded version coming up shortly on Northwest Digital News. Appreciate you joining us again. Harry Brelsford from SMB Nation, as always, a contributor here on Northwest Digital News on Tech Tuesdays. A special thanks to everybody who tuned in here today on behalf of myself, Kevin Hunter, Kyle Torgerson, and our special tech contributor out of Seattle, Harry Brelsford. Thanks for joining us. Till next time, take care.